We are back with the lovely Gwen Morris, who's running for the Assembly District, and we're so happy to have her back here today and tell us all about her campaign and where she is with that today. So welcome, Gwen.
Oh, it's good to be back.
We're so happy to have you back. One of my favorite people to interview in the whole wide world.
See, I like that. That's why I'm also happy to be back. I love that. I need more of you. I need more of you. Well, we're at the June primary, and it's really kind of interesting. As one of the things that we had talked about, thank you, dear. One of the things that we had talked about earlier is the strategy behind the campaign and the purpose in the campaign, why I'm running. And it's a change of leadership. In that process, the learning has just been phenomenal. I don't think we get too old to learn.
Never.
It changes every day. One of the things, I'm still running. I will be on your November ballot.
Yes.
There were only two of us in the race in the beginning, and so we really knew that with that happening, that no matter what, we were going to be in it until November. So having an opportunity to get my name out there, you guys, that's Gwen to Win, 23rd, 2016.
This is the best slogan.
Yeah, so it's still there, and it's still, important to us. And it's important to the people of this valley. I really believe that more and more as the election and leading up to the election has taken place, there's been so many things that have come to the forefront. I think at my age, 60 plus, that I knew almost everything and, was very cocky about it. But absolutely, I've done so many things. But the lessons continue, particularly when we talk about politics and what it means to the people and how disengaged the people really are, in this valley to get out the vote. And we're still not getting out to vote, but we have so much in terms of the sideline politics. We understand the elitism of the political agenda and arena, and we want to change that, but it requires that the people get out and get engaged.
No, yes, because I think we're unarguably at a time where we're learning how to redefine what politics means to everybody, because more people are interested, especially young people, and with everything that's going on with election fraud and things like that, it's topsy-turvy for everybody. It's just kind of a good time to really pay attention and learn what you can, especially in your own county, like in Fresno, where we have our own elections and things like that.
Yeah, the biggest thing really is that you use the term election fraud, and that's really not a lot going on. That's the conversation that we have. But the real conversation is around the get out to vote.
Yes.
We have sideline politicians who will have many discussions, both in my family, out of my family, in community, out of community, about what they believe is happening on a national level. And so when it boils down to, my conversation is always about, well, then who is your school board rep? Who's running for mayor? I asked a group of young guys, there's one female person, who's running for mayor? And they couldn't tell me. One person told me who the people were, but yet and still what is going to be happening is going to impact. So my message is, number one, Gwen to Win is still out there, and you guys, it's a journey. It's a journey, and the learning is also in the journey. Inclusivity in the journey, how we elect our elected officials. What is that process? What is that really telling us about ourselves in this valley? Again, I looked at the ballots coming up in November, and we have seats that are non-contested. So what does that mean? Does that mean that the people who are running are so great, or that we're not paying attention, or that we don't feel that whoever it is will make a difference?
That's a big question.
Yeah, you have a democratic system that is not operating as such right here in this valley. And that's not to say that the people who are running are not good people, and it's not to say that they're not knowledgeable, and it's not to say that they would not be elected anyway. But process and how we engage. And that's one of the biggest things that's jumped out, along with the fact that if you want to win, you got to have a lot of money and you got to have a lot of support. My naivete said I thought it was about the people and that we represented the people. But that's not as much of the conversation. So I share that, and I share that in my learning, and I share that for folks who don't vote, who don't get out locally and say this really matters,
Yeah. And, for those who may have not seen the first segment but are just tuning in today, can you tell them a little bit about why they should look at you as a candidate that they should vote for?
Oh, absolutely. Born and raised in this valley, you like my story of picking peppers, At 15 years old, deciding, well, how am I going to help support my family in terms of being the youngest of 5, and what do I do so that I can have that little cash stuck as like everyone else? And we grew up in this agricultural valley. And so what we did as kids is we got out in the fields. And so I started in the pepper fields, And then 1965, 66, and along those times came the first summer youth employment. And so I was one of the first youth hired to work at neighborhood resource centers. And so my journey really in terms of activism and being involved in community started in about 1965. And even before that with parents who were engaged, in our PTAs and that kind of thing. Graduate of Bullard High School in 1969, so we are some of the folks, that's right, go Knights, some of the first to desegregate the schools here in Fresno. Then I went on to Fresno State with a degree in law enforcement. So now what makes me the best person for it? Because I've done all of it. I started in one, and I was executive director for Fresno Works for Better Health Advocacy Center. My family has run businesses. I've raised children in this valley. And I see it differently from our current leadership. I do not think that the leadership in this city, in this community, in this valley, in this state, and in this nation should be elected by an elitist group of people making determinations for the people. But they do that, and I'm going back this full circle, if we do not vote, if we do not get out and understand that our voices are important, if we do the sideline politics and talk about it in our homes, but don't gather down in City Hall and deal with the real issues that are impacting sustainability for our families, then it's conversation.
Exactly.
If we do not take those conversations and apply them to policies, then we're not doing that which is going to change our lives. And I think that more people than not would like to be change agents for this valley, for the state. If not, then we'll end up where we are. And I don't think anybody is enjoying that except for the entertainment.
That's kind of true, actually.
Yeah. So.
How would you advise maybe, especially a young person, to get involved in making change and so that they feel like their voice matters?
At the time that the disturbances were taking place, in terms of law enforcement here, I was in the city of Detroit. And in that process was reading about the news and everything, the youth that blocked off Blackstone, started at Blackstone and went into Clovis. It was so exciting. And the most exciting thing for me about it was the age of the folks who were doing it. Since then, I've had opportunity to talk with some of the leadership. And these are children, that are doing what we did in the 60s and the 70s.
Yeah.
And what they're basically looking for is a little leadership. Tell us, we're frustrated. About what? Well, we're frustrated over the crime. We're frustrated over the police. We're frustrated. So how do we take and channel that? And a lot of those youth are not registered voters. Mm-hmm. But they're old enough to vote. And they're old enough to stand out in the street and say, we want to make a difference. And so I think how we are embracing our youth like that is what we need to pay attention to. We need to make sure they're registered voters. We need to put them in an environment that they're safe to say we disagree. But we also need to add the wisdom of this is how you do it and it should lead to policy. We have some groups like that. But we still have a lot of our youth in this valley who are not engaged. So we need to develop on-ramps for them. I'm excited about them.
Oh, absolutely. I am too. I like seeing more people in their early 20s and so on, and even teenagers. I like seeing them wake up and get involved in no matter what that kind of means. Because especially in Fresno, there's been a lot of activity, like you said, especially on Blackstone and such. And I saw some of it from a car, but it was still it was still good to see because I couldn't particularly participate, but I was happy to see so many show up to do because it was a lot of people. Yeah,
and let's not mistake that for being against any group. Let's not mistake that for really being against the police department or against. It was really about we're frustrated with life. We want to know how we can be contributors. Yeah. And so if we think about that as being contributors, and then say, how do we garnish that energy? How do we as baby boomers who are really relaxing and taking our wonderful vacations and doing all those great things that make us happy, how do we take the knowledge that we have over the last 50 years and grab a grandchild, because they're my grandchildren's ages, and say, oh, let me share with you what I know, and let me hear from you where I also need to go. And let's do that, and let's do it not as adversaries, but as community people sharing a journey. That's how I'm viewing that. And again, it's
Yeah.
exciting.
It is exciting.
It is exciting.
And the November elections will be here right before we know it. It's like, it seems far now, but it's going to be here like it's tomorrow. And with that in mind, is there still time for people to be involved with your campaign?
Oh, there's always time to be involved with my campaign. Again, part of the journey is this campaign. The seat is the 2-year seat. So once I start campaigning now, you guys, I'm in this for a while. And so for those of you, again, those of you who are at home and wondering, how do I engage? How do I make a change? How do I become a change agent? Gwen to Win, 23rd, 2016 at Gmail. Also, the website is Gwen, the number 2, Win. You guys, let's have some conversations. Let's set up some community forums. There are issues around this valley, such as our water, such as going on, with the rust in the water, such as going on with the educational gap. And we still have these huge conversations about our rail system and how we engage that and how we prepare a strong labor force. So these conversations are going on every day. So opportunity through the Gwen to Win 23rd, 2016.
Yes,
Looking forward to it. And it's a long journey. I'm kind of enjoying the little break for the summer now, as the more positions are opening, like the school board elections are occurring, and they're just adding, and all the initiatives that folks are putting out there. But within the next 3 weeks or so, it's full force again. So I'm always available, wanting to have conversations with community people about why we need a change in leadership and what that change can really mean for this valley, and how we really represent the people of the valley. If we have 254,000 registered voters in any district, with only 83,000 who determine the winners, there are a whole lot of other folks out there who are not hearing their voices, or they feel that their voices are not important. This is important. It's opportunity. We need to change some of our leadership to depict really how we feel from not only this valley, but from this country.
Yes.
And we need to do it boldly and loudly. Yeah.
I agree.
And then once we have the voice, we need to change the policy, right?
Yes,
So it's
for
active.
sure.
It's active. It's active.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, I think you already mentioned it, but just in case you missed it, how can people reach your campaign or reach you if they want to have those conversations with you and be involved in your campaign?
Again, and maybe you have that card up, maybe not, but it's Gwen to Win 23rd, 2016 at Gmail. Just remember it. We can sing it. It's Gwen to Win. It's Gwen to Win.
Best Fresno slogan there is.
Yeah, and
I'm telling you.
23rd is California State Assembly 23rd. And you'll find me. You can Google me. My webpage is also Gwen to Win. So just remember that. It's Gwen to Win.
Absolutely. Best slogan ever. You can't forget it.
That's right.
Well, thank you so much for being here today with us, Gwen.
Oh, thanks for inviting me. It's wonderful. And
We're
again,
so
every
happy.
opportunity.
Oh, please keep coming long after November.
You have to, because the engagement doesn't stop and the change we need doesn't
Yes.
stop.
For sure.
If it did, I would have retired the first time, but no, it keeps going. It keeps going.
Yes.
It's like an ever-ready battery. It just keeps on going.
We need that, though.
Yeah.
But thank you so much, and stay right here on Central Valley Business. I'll be right back after these messages.